So I've been dissecting the PlayStation 4 game lineup for October 2019, and what I can say is that it's going to be absolutely insane. From the big budget releases to games like the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the Medieval remake, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and I can go on and on. However, there are so many games in terms of quantity that there are bound to be a couple of titles that go a little bit under the radar, and that's really what I want to identify in this video. I want to highlight 10 games of October 2019, 10 PS4 games that is, that you guys should absolutely know about because these games look really good, or they're ports of existing games. So we kind of already know that they're gonna be excellent. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And I want to start things off with a brand new game from Dead Mage and 11-Bit Studios, and that is Children of Morta. Children of Morta looks absolutely awesome, and this was a game that released on PC just a few days ago. It's a story-driven action RPG about an extraordinary family of heroes. Lead the Bergesons with all their flaws and virtues against the forthcoming corruption. Will you be able to sacrifice everything to save the ones you care for? It's got an awesome pixel graphics art style, which is something that definitely caters towards me. I know some of you guys that are more accustomed towards modern games and you didn't play games back in the day. That might be a little bit of a turnoff. However, I know that there's definitely an audience for games like this. And the game was received incredibly well. 586 Steam user reviews, 81% positive, so that's pretty good. And over on Metacritic, it actually paints an even more positive picture, an 85. That's a little bit uncommon, but nonetheless, a very good score there. And the game's features roguelite with a strong storyline, 6 unique playable characters, emotional tale focused on a family of heroes, a diverse set of skills and attributes, passive and active items modifying each run, multiple dungeons set in different biomes, a rich world full of history and magic, and unprecedented hand-painted pixel art style. This is a game that I'm definitely going to cover more ahead of its October 15th release date, so be on the lookout for that. But one title I feel like you guys should definitely at least know about. And Dead Mage is actually a studio that's worked on a couple of other interesting titles, so I think this is going to turn out pretty well. And it is being published by 11-Bit Studios, which brings me to my next game. This was a game that was directly developed by 11-Bit Studios, and that is FrostPunk. It is coming from PC to PlayStation 4 with the FrostPunk Console Edition. This is a game that I played quite a bit of on PC, and the console version of FrostPunk includes all of the previous free updates from the PC version, including the Fall of Winter Home scenario, additional customization options, difficulty settings, and balance tweaks. FrostPunk was actually a game that, when it launched on PC, got a little bit of a negative reception. Not necessarily a negative reception, but a little bit of a mixed bag. If you guys don't know, 11-Bit Studios also did This War of Mine, which was incredibly well received. And initially with FrostPunk, this game did have a little bit of a shortage of content. That issue was completely remedied with the fact that 11-Bit Studios rolled out a lot of additional content for the game absolutely free. And the game itself is a society survival game where heat means life and every decision comes at a price, presenting complex strategic gameplay, demanding challenges, and a rich story. FrostPunk extends its unmatched survival experience to consoles. The game will have you maintain hope. Survival is about hope and the will to live. Your ability to spark and maintain these two in your people will be a detriment factor for success. Make the law. Society is a group of people abiding by the same rules and sharing similar beliefs. Establishing laws and customs will be a crucial factor in shaping your society. There are so many decisions to be made, and that's one of the enticing factors of this game. And there is an endless mode. Endless mode offers new maps, game modes, mechanics, and allows you to dive into the FrostPunk experience deeper than ever before. So that is awesome as well. FrostPunk Console Edition will be hitting the PlayStation 4 on October 11th. Okay, next up, here's a pretty major title coming from Codemasters, a racing game development studio, and that is the reboot of Grid. Titled Just Grid, the racing game franchise is back, and it's looking to capture intense moment-to-moment action racing. Grid returns with an all-new experience where every race is the chance to choose your own path, create your own story, and define your own legacy in the motorsport world. From the creators of the hugely successful Dirt and F1 series, Codemasters invites you to take your place in the Grid World Series and compete in intense wheel-to-wheel racing with the most iconic and desirable race cars, current and classic, from GT through touring and muscle to stock and super modifieds. The game touts over 70 of the most iconic cars ever raced. Race the greats, both current and classic, across a huge array of vehicle classes. Modern greats such as the Porsche 911 RSR and Ferrari 488 GTE in the GT class, to classics including the Ford GT40 and Pontiac Firebird Modified. Those are all available, and a ton more cars will be available as well. 12 incredible racing locations, a wide variety of different areas. You've got China, Malaysia, Japan, United Kingdom, Spain, United States, Cuba, and Australia all represented, and you can create your own story and define your own legacy. Choose from 6 main career paths, all leading to the Grid World Series, plus additional additional showdown events. Looks like a decent amount of content in this one. And the reboot of Grid will be hitting the PlayStation 4 on September 13th. Alright, here is another game that is going really under the radar, and it is the follow-up to AeternoBlade and AeternoBlade 2. Now, AeternoBlade was a game that had a little bit of a smaller budget. It was released on a lot of platforms, including lower-end platforms like the PlayStation Vita. However, AeternoBlade 2 is seeing a size up in terms of technical prowess. I'm not saying that this is a technical juggernaut by any means, but AeternoBlade 2 definitely is a more pleasing game to look at, and the game itself will have 3 playable characters with different abilities and storylines. You can choose between Freya, Bernard, and Felix. Characters have different battle styles and depend on their weapon. 3 weapons that AeternoBlade can be changed into. Each one has a unique ability, and you've got more abilities to use, and there are more types of puzzles to be solved. The map has more depth and is more complicated than ever before. AeternoBlade 2 is due out the same day as the reboot of Grid, and it is out October 11th. Next up, here is another game that has really gotten my interest, and we have Mistover. Mistover is described as a mystical RPG with expeditions for finding the key to survival. Choose your next step wisely, and keep in mind that your every move that you make in the game will change the future. Create your own corpse and explore through various regions in the Pillar of Despair, forests, lakes, mountains, cities, cathedrals, castles, and much, much more. It's got an awesome, darker art style, very unique in that sense, and this is going to be a game that's going to age really well. I can tell that immediately because it goes for that style of having a unique art style instead of being a technical juggernaut, and it's just a very captivating game from a look standpoint. It notes contains 40 hours of expeditions in 5 distinct regions, turn-based RPG with a twist. It can change based on your actions, maps are always changing, practice different strategies in order to survive, build an invincible core by combining and strategizing with 8 different core classes, learn new skills and upgrade equipment to enhance corpse crew members. The Mist influences everything that happens in the game. A game that does seem to have a level of challenge attached to it, but if you're into strategy RPGs, this is going to be one right up your alley. And I don't know how anyone couldn't be captivated by this game just by looking at it, because the art style is just so unique. And I always have to give credit to that, even if it doesn't turn out the best. At least they're going for a unique presentation, and the gameplay elements seem rather unique. Mistover is due out on the PlayStation 4 come October 10th. Next up, here's one that's a part of a pretty iconic franchise. However, this one is going a little bit under the radar, and that is Trine for the Nightmare Prince. The best-selling Trine series returns to the magic of 2.5D. Join 3 iconic heroes as they set off on a quest through fantastical fairy tale landscapes to save the world from the Nightmare Prince's shadows. Trine has been a franchise that I won't say has been perfect, however, it has been a rather good platforming series with a lot of variety in its gameplay, from platforming, puzzles, action. It's got all of that. And this one is going to feature gorgeous 2.5D landscapes. Already looking at the game, it looks very visually pleasing. Explore uniquely designed levels in beautiful 2.5 dimensions, from breathtaking ruins and haunted tombs to tranquil birch groves and blueberry forests. Here's one tidbit about the game that has me very excited: local and online multiplayer. Play with up to 4 players online or in local co-op. We've seen a lot of games forego local co-op these days, so whenever a game has local cooperative play that you can just play on a couch, I have to give a thumbs up for that, and Trine 4 is going to be adding that as well. Captivating storytelling. Follow the story of a haunted prince as you journey through magical fairy tale landscapes inhabited by friendly creatures, as well as a host of nightmarish foes. Dynamic puzzle solving. Solve puzzles solo or with friends that feature fire, air, light magnets, electricity, and more, with challenges tailored to a number of players. Abundant skill trees. Unlock diverse abilities and amazing new skills. Completely revamped combat system. Experience the hero's own nightmares and boss fights featuring enriched combat system with fresh challenges and thrilling action and enchanting soundtrack. Enjoy a wondrous soundtrack with songs that bring life to each new environment. Trine 4 is due out on October 8th, and it'll be released at $29.99. And by the way, for those of you that have never checked out the Trine franchise, there will be a Trine Ultimate Collection released on the same day, and that'll include the entire Trine franchise: Trine 1, Trine 2, Trine 3, and Trine 4, so that might be something to look at as well. Next up, we have a brand new PlayStation 4 exclusive in concrete, Genie. This is a game that I am very excited for, coming from Pixel Opus. It's a budget title being released at $29.99, so it's not going to be a massive game like a Death Stranding. However, it is a budget release, and Concrete Genie follows the heartwarming journey of a bullied teen named Ash who escapes his troubles by bringing his colorful imagination to life in his sketchbook while exploring his hometown of Denska, a once bright and bustling seaside town now polluted by darkness. Ash discovers a mysterious lighthouse where he finds a magical paintbrush charged with living paint capable of creating magnificent masterpieces that can purify Denska's polluted walls. You as Ash must harness the magical properties of his powerful paintbrush to eliminate the darkness polluting Denska with the help of the mischievous genies he creates along the way. Can Ash overcome his personal struggles and paint his hometown back to life? This is another game that has a very charming art style and visually it looks great. I'm really happy that they went with a budget price point because with so many games coming out in this fall season, not every game can manage to be a full $59.99. And I do think in another timeline, maybe Sony would have gone and charged $40, $50, or $60 for the game. At $30, it's a very palatable pickup and a game that I do think is going to actually do relatively well from a commercial standpoint if it ends up delivering, because it's going to have that idea that it is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, and whenever a game is a PS4 exclusive, even if it doesn't have a ton of attention surrounding it ahead of its release, if it delivers, it is a game that's going to gain some traction shortly after its release. So Concrete Genie is due out on October 8th. Next up, here's a cool one. Monkey King Hero is back. Yes, the Monkey King is headed to the video game realm. The curtain rises on yet another never-before-seen Chinese myth, a new saga in the journey to the West based on the original CG movie that became an unprecedented box office smash in China. This unique episode will be playable in an exciting kung fu action adventure game. The game will have you explore 10 completely different levels full of fast-paced action, lush environments full of secrets, and epic boss battles. Take control of the Monkey King and engage in world-famous Chinese kung fu full of combos, hilarious finishers, QTE counters, and a plethora of items and skills. Unlock skills and abilities while advancing and gain powerful super moves, a magical staff for superior combat, and fire projectiles to hurl at enemies, and get the full cinematic experience and more. Scenes from the movie as well as never before seen content combined with top-notch voice acting in all major languages. Monkey King Hero is back is going to be released at a budget price point at $39.99, so that's something I definitely appreciate. Again, much like Concrete Genie, these games being priced a little bit cheaper is something that I can definitely appreciate. And Monkey King Hero is back is due out on October 17th. Alright, next up, you guys know that on this channel I love Japanese RPGs, and while The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 is due out in October, I've talked about that game to death. I do want to give a mention to Atelier, Ryza, Ever Darkness, and The Secret Hideout. This is releasing shortly after Trails of Cold Steel 3, so I think timing-wise, a lot of people might check out Trails of Cold Steel 3 first, especially if you're a fan of JRPG and you're a fan of this channel. That's a game that I've been really hammering home to you guys. However, Atelier, Ryza, Ever Darkness, and The Secret Hideout looks rather good as well. It is really featuring an improvement upon other Atelier Ryza games. Compare this to something like Tales of Arise, where the franchise has been around for a really long time. It's kind of established its core audience. Tales of more so than Atelier Ryza, but it's trying to take itself to the next level with this release, and I think Ever Darkness and The Secret Hideout could be that game. Is it going to be a massive JRPG? Probably not, but I do think it's going to find an audience of its own, and Atelier Ryza is going to feature a variety of gathering tools such as axes, hammers, and sights. Using different tools on the same gathering spot allows the player to obtain different materials, and it's going to follow that fundamental Atelier gameplay with some refinements as well. Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness, and The Secret Hideout is due out October 29th. And lastly, I do want to mention a major PlayStation 4 remaster of a PlayStation 3 game, and that is Yakuza 4. You guys know that I love me some Yakuza, and I know some of you guys are a little bit upset with the recent revelation of Yakuza 7, and that game being a lot different than the Yakuza games we've seen thus far on the PlayStation 4. However, if you do want your traditional Yakuza experience, Yakuza 4 is going to absolutely offer that. It's going to be a lot similar to the previous Yakuza titles. If you haven't played Yakuza in the past, go check out Yakuza 0. That is a great entry point, and work your way up. Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami, Kiwami 2, Yakuza 3, Yakuza 4. 5 is coming to the PlayStation 4 as well. 6 is, of course, out right now. And Yakuza 7 does look to be released in 2020 as well. I know, again, you guys are a little bit skeptical. I'm saying wait and see on Yakuza 7. I think it's going to end up surprising a lot of people. But nonetheless, if you want that traditional Yakuza experience, come October 29th, you will be able to check that out. It will be released digitally only come October 29th. However, a full physical release of the Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 collection will be out when Yakuza 5 drops. I believe that is February 11th. Don't hold me to that date. That's off the top of my head. And if I nailed that, that's pretty impressive and goes to show how big of a nerd I am. But nonetheless, Yakuza 4 due out October 29th, so do give that a look. But if it's your first Yakuza game, start off with Yakuza 0. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, come October, there are gonna be a ton of PlayStation 4 titles that I know you guys are gonna want to check out. And obviously, you're not gonna be able to pick up all of them. I think for a lot of you guys, you aren't gonna pick up any of the games that I've mentioned on this list right away. However, add these games to your wish list. Keep them on your radar, because in this climate of gaming, happening where there's multiple upon multiple games released every week. A lot of games just get lost in the shuffle. There's games that came out a year or two ago that you might really enjoy, but they're just completely under your radar. You don't even know about them, whatever the case may be. If you have a list, if you have a wish list, at least you can keep track of these games, and when they go on sale, you can pick them up then. So that's what I always recommend. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.